Thank you for joining us today. Happy Women's History Month. I am Dr. Antonia Farrell, the Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, Inclusion at the University of Kentucky College of Agriculture, Food, and Environment. I will be serving as your vivacious facilitator today. I am zooming in from Shawnee, Cherokee, Chickasaw, and Osage lands, and known by many as Lexington, Kentucky. As we enter into this space today, it will be great to know who we have in the room. So in the chat, please share your name, where you're zooming in from, and share your favorite woman author, storyteller, or book by a woman. So if you can put your name, where you're zooming in from, and share your favorite woman author, storyteller, or book by a woman. And I want you to keep that with you for the networking session because you will have an opportunity to share more in detail about who you have selected. Colorado, Brene Brown, Michigan, Georgia, Maya Angelou, Texas, Florence Williams. We have Wisconsin. Awesome. Ohio, DC, Minneapolis, Colorado, Oregon, Tennessee, Michigan, New York, Puerto Rico, Virginia. Keep them coming. I also want to share that we have over 15 countries represented today. We have Bangladesh, Belgium, Bolivia, Canada, Cyprus, Fiji, Germany, India, Mexico, Nepal, Nigeria, Indonesia, Romania, South Africa, Tanzania, the UK, and the United States. I want to remind you that the Women's Forest Congress has social media handles. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Connect to our Women's Forest Congress network to share your positive experience as you participate today. You can tag Women's Forest Congress and use the hashtag #WeAreWFC. As we enter into our space today, let's get comfortable. Whether you are inside or outside, stay on mute when you are not speaking, and we would love to see your beautiful faces. So if you feel comfortable, you are more than welcome to turn your camera on. I would like to welcome you all. We are in for a treat today. The theme we will focus on today is the importance of storytelling. Our goals today are, number one, to reunite with the amazing Women's Forest Congress community. Number two, to celebrate the history-making inaugural Women's Forest Congress event. Did we have an incredible time in October? If you did not attend, you missed an enlightening event that fired us up for the forest sector. Number three, to learn about the future of the Women's Forest Congress with an overview of the strategic plan and key priorities, including actions on our declarations. And last but most importantly, enjoy our time together, connecting with other women and allies as we tell our stories and hopes for the future of the Women's Forest Congress. Storytelling is something we have to do more of. Storytelling is magical. Storytelling can teach us empathy, build emotions and ideas, and make everyday occurrences seem incredible. It gives us a cultural understanding of others. Telling stories allow us to experience different worlds, countries, and traditions. We all have a story to tell. So the question today is, how are we going to uplift our voices? As we uplift our voices, I want to share a story with you about an important partnership that has been near and dear to my heart over the last year. As the past president of Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences, also known as Manners, from 2019 to 2022, I had the honor and privilege to meet the CEO and president of Sustainable Forestry Initiative, also known as SFI, Kathy Abuso, during my tenure. Fun fact, I met Kathy during a Women's Forest Congress event. We began to have conversations about ways that SFI and Manners could partner. In September 2021, SFI and Manners announced a memorandum of understanding to ensure young Black Americans have greater opportunities for rewarding careers in the forest and conservation sector. As co-chairs of the project, Kathy and I were very intentional in identifying an advisory committee of Black Americans to ensure the voices of those most affected were part of the development process of Journeys of Black Professionals and Green Careers Guide. SFI also contracted with Black-owned businesses to produce and design the guide. By releasing the SFI PLT Manners Journey of Black Professionals and Green Careers Guide, we hope to provide youth with an awareness of the many careers in the forest and conservation sector and advance the conservation sector within and having that representation of many inspiring stories from historical and current environmental heroes. Several women who are active in the Women's Forest Congress are also highlighted in the guide. Dr. Asia Doughton and Jasmine Brown and many others. If Kathy and I did not share our stories within our respective organizations, we would not have finished the finished product of the Journeys of Black Professionals in Green's Career Guide. Again, storytelling is and can be very impactful and powerful. Ladies, it is time to celebrate the work of the Women's Forest Congress. We will hear from a few women who are catalysts for change. We will hear from Kaylin Glenn from Enviva and Amy Tomcho from American Forest Foundation to share highlights of the declarations, both of whom served as delegates at the inaugural Women's Forest Congress in October 2022. Kaylin and Amy, I will now turn it over to you all.
Thank you, Mia. Good afternoon, everyone. So amazing to see so many faces that I recognize from the Congress, new faces. As Mia mentioned, yeah, we're here to share our experience. We were under the Catalyst for Change group as delegates, and one of the delegations that we ended up coming up with that was mentioned earlier was to increase the use of storytelling in conferences, trainings, and workshops. Like what was mentioned, this is super important, and we think that there's a strength in that. So to kick that off, Amy is actually going to share her story and her two-part journey of throughout her life and career that brought her to the Congress. Go ahead, Amy.
Thanks, Kaylin. I looked up the address of my childhood home the other day. It wasn't the first time, and it won't be the last. As a professional, I might call that georeferencing, but what I think about is that I can look up a street address from 30 years ago on the World Wide Web on a mini computer that I'm carrying in my purse. It's amazing and not something I ever imagined during those days I spent living in my single family home on Cardinal Drive.
The delegations that we created under the Women as a Catalyst for Change is what we ended up living out now, and we hope that you can incorporate it as well. So we're going to list these off as Amy's telling her story. So one of them, to kick it off, is the Women's Forest Congress challenges organizations in the forest and forest products sector to foster workforce opportunities for all women through mentorship programs, professional development, scholarships, with a particular focus on reaching out to those in need and help those who are asking for assistance in any part of their journey.
I spent my time outdoors Go out and play, my mother would tell me. I think it roughly translated to get out of my hair and give me some peace and quiet. And I did what I was told. I was the oldest by nearly 6 years, so that mostly meant I played outside alone. For many reasons, nature became my sanctuary. I tended my own personal strawberry garden with the sun on my face while the birds and I hummed a tune together.
We will broaden the pruning practices to include wider networks, build a pipeline of talent by connecting with and showcasing forests and the forest product sectors to youth, students, creating a job shadowing and interest opportunities.
The creek that ran through the woods behind my home was named Neabsco. The name Neabsco is derived from a Dogue village recorded as Neabsco by early English colonists. The Dogue were a Native American people who lived in Virginia. They are extinct as a tribe, though I recently read that some descendants still live.
We will build workplace systems that support mental health coverage, including training programs promoting healthy lifestyles such as family leave, flexible work schedules, generous vacation plans, social opportunities, and holistic wellness programs.
I remember my father spent particularly more time with me during those years. Dad and I did fun and sometimes dangerous things. Catfishing from railroad trusses that stood high above the Potomac River, Prince William Pirate Farm League baseball games, where we always spent at least a few minutes and a few innings behind the stand trying to retrieve foul balls, and all manner of other tomboy stuff. That's what they called it then. Maybe they still do, but I think it's girl stuff too. I did try to learn cross stitch from my mom, but failed miserably. I ended up with wads of knotted floss in the back of my hoop. If I'm being honest, it made me cry. I didn't begrudge my mom for trying. I love the beauty of handmade art, but creating in that form was just not for me.
We will promote a variety of working environments, encourage flexibility, ensure all work environments are fully accessible, enable employees to prioritize mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health, and model healthy behaviors for others.
One time, Dad and I jumped the fence behind our house and went for a walk in the old growth forest. At the time, I had no idea that I was on historically tribal land, but I did know how it felt to touch the earth. I practiced it regularly back then. And during that summer walk, I came to love those tall trees of Neabsco. That temperate Virginia forest changed my life. I didn't know about careers outside the printing industry, which was what my parents did, or the familiar professions like teacher, nurse, secretary, or construction, military service, mechanic. But I knew I wanted to work in the woods when I grew up.
We will create a safe, inviting, and welcoming workspace for all, resulting in greater wellness, increased retention, higher productivity, improved creativity, and a heart-centered decision-making. Assess compensation for women and promote paths to pay equity at all levels, including discrepancies in intersectional identities, communities, and demographics.
I'm in my 40s now. Most of the forest behind my childhood home has given way to residential development, converted to spiraling patterns polka dotted with single-family homes. The EPA Office of Water recently identified Neabsco Creek watershed as an area of significant habitat degradation due to loss of natural land cover and stormwater management facilities designed without consideration for environmental conditions.
We will intentionally identify and support more women, those from underrepresented groups, to achieve leadership positions.
Last fall, I caught a ride on an airplane to a place called Minneapolis, land of 10,000 lakes, also known to the Dakota tribe for the river of sky-tinted water. I journeyed to the largest congregation of female identifying foresters I have ever known and maybe even the largest the world has ever known. As a senior forestry manager with American Forest Foundation and a member of the first Women's Forest Congress delegation, I became part of a room that was vibrating with the energy of women with stories like mine and stories unlike mine. We pulsed with the rhythm of a heartbeat, and for the next few days, we celebrated women in forestry and got to work to discover how best to support one another in this incredible journey.
As Melody Mobley has stated before, the more forestry diversity we have, the more inclusiveness we have in decision-making, the better strategies we can develop, and the better alternatives we could develop in facing the huge environmental problems that face us today. We got to live and experience this firsthand at the Women's Forest Congress. All of our stories are our strengths that we brought to the table and are still bringing to the table and are necessary for this field and for us to thrive individually as whole people, but also with our career aspirations and interests as well. I know firsthand, Amy and I the other day had just talked about right when we were creating these delegations, I was in tears surrounded by these women because we put so much passion and consideration into them and there wasn't enough time, right? We're not done, there wasn't enough time, and that's the exciting opportunity that we still have.
So last year, 39 delegates, including Kaylin and I, dug deep into what mattered to us, listened to what mattered to others, and developed a set of 10 resolutions that you just heard that we as individuals and as a united community would strive to achieve and challenge those both within and outside of our circles to begin to create lived experiences closer to an inclusive profession that is better for the diversity we bring, better for creating space for others' stories that make us whole. Women are catalysts for change. When one of us may grow weary, the others will stand up. When we don't know where to turn, we turn to one another and to these declarations as our foundation.
Today, especially, we are elevating the resolution that asks us to increase the use of storytelling in conferences, trainings, and workshops.
I'm grateful for this space to tell my story today and hope that one day, if you choose, all of you here, if you choose, you might also share yours. Thanks.
Thank you.
Wow. Thank you, Amy and Kaylin. I definitely felt all of that. Phenomenal job. Increasing the use of storytelling in conferences, trainings, and workshops is so important. The Congress was a safe space where stories were shared and captured so that we could put forth action.